Welcome to the Friends and Rivals podcast.
To all you numbers people out there, I'd just like to apologize for my extreme exaggeration. 57.3 is not 58%. It's not even close. I don't know what I was thinking. And I just want to say I'm sorry to all the mathematicians out there that are listening. I'll never make a mistake like that again. I'm sorry.
Apology accepted.
Let's talk Devils and Islanders, let's talk Penguins and Rangers, but let's not talk about Flyers, cause they're a bunch of fucks, which no one can deny.
Episode 24, Friends and Rivals podcast coming at ya. I'm one of your hosts, Tom Harkness. With me as always are
Steven Wojtowicz.
Bill Fougere.
Billy's here twice. We have Soundboard Bill. Is he here? Soundboard Bill, are you here?
Minus 167.
No, but I saw your lips moving. That's not Soundboard Bill.
That was awesome. That was real Bill doing Soundboard Bill. That was
That was my favorite Soundboard Bill.
That's like watching the guy who invented the iPhone take a call on his iPhone.
You make a really good point.
But before we get into anything tonight, I suck. There's a very, very special shout out to Nick's cousin, Matt. He is the best listener of the Friends and Rivals podcast. And I just want to say, hey, what's up, pal? I suck. That's for you. Nick's cousin, Matt. I suck.
Not only that, Matt, I have something very special I want to say to you.
Buddy.
I'm very sorry for the way I treat Tom and all other Ranger fans. You really do have my deepest respect, and I look forward to the rivalry with the Devils as the seasons go on.
Oh, boy, did the Rangers have another week. I hope this is like the last time. Well, it's probably the last time or something bad that we talk about the Rangers for until the beginning of next season, at least. My goodness gracious. All right, so last week you left us. We were reading the statement to everybody and wondering what was going to come of it. But let me give you a little timeline on the Rangers season to put everything into perspective. Okay. So we had some preseason expectations here, right? We all knew the size was going to be an issue, but they had a pretty balanced young team. So we didn't think much about the playoffs this year. Playoffs were kind of an afterthought. Never really thought they would make the playoffs this year, but they had a decent chance at it. So if they didn't make the playoffs, I don't think anybody's going to sweat that and chalk it up as a developmental year for everybody. Develop the kids. I mean, that was the thing to do. Gorton, JD, they did all the right moves. What are there any moves? I mean, besides Jack Johnson, right? But at the time, the writing was on the wall with Martin coming over from Pittsburgh and having him on defense, all that jazz. But I don't think there was any bad moves or moves out of the ordinary that JD and Gorton have done in the past year, in this past offseason, for that matter. Nick, you do have a mute button, buddy. You do. I mean, it's a little button that says mute. Professional people use that when they sneeze. They call it sneeze button.
I think Nick's brains are on the wall back there. Do you see them?
It was a quality sneeze, by the way.
He's allergic to this Rangers nonsense.
Oh, geez. Woo.
Where was I before I was interrupted?
There was no
sucking off JD and Gorton and how great they were.
Well, look, but they didn't make bad moves. They made the right moves for the team. They made the right moves. They got the right assets. Lafreniere was consensus #1 overall pick. That's who you take. You take that guy. I mean, besides Jack Johnson and the cap constraints that they had for this year, I think they did a pretty decent job with the roster. I felt the coach was safe no matter what happened this year, and that proved itself to be true. And they were expected to fall somewhere between 4th and 6th in the East. And I think those were the preseason expectations. And I don't understand how James Dolan had different expectations than that. How did he have different expectations than all of those things that we have covered and that all the other professional beat writers covered prior to that? How can he just assume that this team, albeit they may have had the talent to make the playoffs, this wasn't a team that was going to make the playoffs this year? I mean, they could have backdoored it, but I don't know.
I think you said it all when you said the name of the guy. It's James Dolan. Of course, the expectations weren't real. But just getting back to the roster, maybe it's deals that they didn't make that got them fired. Maybe at the trade deadline they could have made a deal for a couple of big bodies. Just trade away low-level prospects or minor leaguers and try and get a minor leaguer or a fringe NHLer from somebody else who's a big body that could stand up to a Tom Wilson.
Yeah, but they had that guy in Hartford, Grierson or whatever his name was. They had him in Hartford. They had him ready to go. So I think they had the body, but it's make a very interesting point. I don't know if I gave that much thought about maybe it was the moves that they didn't make that really was the underlying issue. But now let's take a look at the season, right? We had the Hank buyout. We had the short camp with no preseason games. I mean, that affected everybody.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. I don't get it either. Mika had the COVID to start the year. Then, you got the whole Tony DeAngelo fiasco with Georgie. Then Putin put out a hit on Panarin. Igor's leg almost fell off. Lemieux was traded to the LA Kings. Then the whole Tom Wilson thing happened, right? And that Tom Wilson thing started the statement. Now, last week, I really wasn't too sure about a couple of things. One thing I wasn't sure of was that JD and Gorton had nothing to do with the statement that went out. It came from the desk of Dolan and the marketing people, and they sent it out without JD and Gorton knowing. Is it possible that JD and Gorton, maybe what the fuck am I trying to say here? Separate themselves from the statement so far that Dolan was like, you guys are a bunch of fucking pussies.
Did it come out that they had no part of the statement before they were let go?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't
think it did. I don't think it was
right?
Until after the statement came out where it was like
Right.
JD, that they didn't have any part of it.
A lot of things came out.
It was quick. It was quick
Wednesday.
too.
A lot of things came out last Wednesday. I think I was in shock when I heard that Gorton and JD were let go.
I thought they've done a great job. I think it can't be something with regards to the talent they put together.
No, they have acquired the talent, but they didn't
Yeah.
acquire protection. They didn't acquire protection for the superstars. And I that's what they got fired for. They got fired for not acquiring that person.
Is that really a fireable offense to not get a guy in like 2 years who can deal with someone like a Tom Wilson, or supposedly the series with the Isles in the beginning of May, end of April, they got shut out 2 games in a row against the Isles, got out hit, and apparently that was one of the things that was rumored to be one of the final nails in the coffin to the two of them being in their spot. But I mean, this was not a season they should have gone to playoffs. I don't
agree.
get it.
And any other organization, I should say, the coach would be the first one to go.
Yeah, I mean, look, that makes sense, and we could talk about the coaching thing, plenty, but there's a lot of guys that are open now, and with Drury coming in, and we'll see how that all turns out. If he decides to go a different direction, or if he stays the same guy. But I mean, I don't understand it. I think the team's got the ability to make the next leap, but I mean, this is a stacked division.
No, and I agree wholeheartedly with that. And not all of these guys that they've drafted, all these talented guys, are going to be on the roster. This is you use some of these guys to get the other players that you need to fill out your roster, to get the depth guys, to get the. But it was very interesting at the Drury press conference. He said there was no expectations to make the playoffs this season. So what the hell was Dolan all fired up about?
I think it wasn't I don't think it was the playoff thing. I think it was like a knee-jerk reaction, emphasis on jerk when it's Dolan, that about them looking bad in missing the playoffs, about them not being competitive in those couple of games against the Islanders. They just had their heads just buried in those games, and then to let that thing happen with Panarin and not have the kind of toughness to retaliate. I think he felt like there was egg on his face, and that's just the kind of person you're dealing with there. I mean, that's what makes it so challenging to have a good franchise under bad ownership.
Yeah, no, and look, I don't disagree with you. In fact, I agree with you 100%. I do think this was an emotional reaction to the last 2 to 3 weeks of the season. And it was purely reactional. I don't care what Dolan said in his statement, that his interview with the Post with Larry Brooks. I don't care what he says. It was absolutely
He's full of shit.
reactional and
100%.
no doubt. But there's other things in Jury's press conference that kind of stick out to me, right? There's no timeline for the rebuild to be over, even though Dolan thinks it's over and it's time to take the next step. And the changes that Jury said won't be too drastic.
Well, now wait a minute.
In the offseason.
You agree with him, right? It is time to take the next step in the rebuild.
I do.
So you agree with Dolan in that sense.
No, listen to me. There's a bunch of things that I agree with Dolan about. I agree that we should have had more size on this team and not gone out there with 3 lines of just playmakers. There was no size.
So then you agree it's on the GM and the president that they didn't assemble the roster.
But that wasn't what this year was. That wasn't what this year was supposed to be, though. This year was all about developing the kids and making sure that they were ready to go for when we actually started the next step. And I think this year they are.
Figure out what talent you have, and then you start filling in the holes. Then you start dealing from that strength, if it's a strength that you're developing, and saying, okay, we're overloaded with playmakers. Now it's time to get this gritty guy, this mucker that's going to go in the corners and help us out, or this defenseman with this skill set, etc.
Yeah, I again, you're taking the words right out of my mouth there, Bill. I agree with you, and I just don't get it. I think this was just, but.
You took the words right out of his mouth. It must have been while you were kissing him. It's Meatloaf.
Okay.
Right.
So now that Steve is muted.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, not a problem whatsoever. But look, JD, I always have a soft spot for JD in my heart ever since he was a broadcaster for the Rangers. I don't go back to all his playing days, but like he was part of that he was the commentator when I first started watching the Rangers, and he was a big part of my early fandom with the Rangers was a lot of JD and was a lot of Sam Rosen. So I always had a soft spot for him, but I just think that Dolan thinks both of those guys are a big bunch of pussies, and that's why they got fired.
Do you think that they had at some point had a conversation about what steps they were going to take in the off season?
I think
Dolan didn't agree with the roadmap that they had in mind.
Yeah, but you look at this off season. I mean, all bets are off when it comes to this season. Like they just signed Lindgren to an extension, which I think is solid money for a solid for a solid defenseman on your number one pair. You had about $24 to $30 million in cap space to work with for like 3 players.
I don't think they had anything to do with, the discussions. I think it had to be completely knee jerk.
Yeah, but they had to have some
get the
sort
fuck
of
out of here.
They had to have some sort of outline about what they were going to do this offseason, who their targets were going to be, and what they wanted to do. I'm sure they had to have, but
yeah, but like in business, like this is a business, right? Dolan runs like a business. He doesn't care what their plan was. He's moving on already. He made the decision. He's like, nope, I don't care. We're moving on. I want more guys that can beat the shit out of the other team. I want to go back to the Flyers and Devils and Rangers, rivalries with all the big hitting and, the gritty guys and go in and knock each other around and out-battle the other team. I mean, that's the way it seemed like to me, is that he doesn't give a shit about, having the team that's that skilled because they're not going to be able to, I guess, have enough room or space to be able to operate in this division, which maybe, but to Steve's point, you fill it, or it was maybe Bill, I'm sorry, but it was basically you fill those guys in, right? You don't spend, like look at all this time looking for Casey Cizikas or Clutterbuck. You get those guys as they come in. You fill in those roster spots because you need the big the big money spenders or the big what's it called, superstars. You spend all your money on. Those guys are the guys you got to go get, and you can't they don't grow on trees. You get them from the draft. You get them through maybe an Eichel who's trying to get the fuck out of
Yeah, but Eichel doesn't solve my
Boston.
problem with size and grit and all that other shit.
He's has some size problems, some size things. He's
Oh,
not
yeah.
a small
No,
guy.
you were gonna say it. He does have size problems. I agree. But look, and I texted you guys earlier this week, right? I said there's a couple of names that I want you guys to look out for. Blake Coleman, who's an unrestricted free agent. I think he would be a solid third line guy. Mark Scheifele is another big body that could fill out your top six. That's going to cost you some assets because he is under contract. Blake Coleman is a free agent. And then I would target Nick Bonino to be my third line center next year and be that face-off specialist.
You
I
think
mean,
Scheifele would be available?
Now you're starting to fill out the roster. But yeah, I believe Bonino is a free agent.
No, Scheifele.
Scheifele is under
RFA,
contract
right?
for the next 3 years, but he's
Yeah.
28 years old, and he's only making 6 point something.
That's a great contract.
Yeah, he's making 6.125 for the next for like 2-3 years after this year.
And so what's the thought? Why would Winnipeg be moving him?
Yeah.
They're in cap hell.
Ah.
They're over the cap substantially right now. With some guys who are on long-term IR, and Brian Little is set to come back next year, and they're going to add $5 million already onto their $85 million payroll. So they're going to have to start moving people, and there's going to be some casualties out there, cap casualties off of good teams with really good players. This is the time for them to use their asset management to go and get those players. Larry Brooks, if you didn't read the post, that's the article that's going to come out tomorrow. Matthew Tkachuk is a name on his list that 23 years old, making $7 million, and is only going to be a restricted free agent after the next 2 years after making $7 million. I mean, that's a perfect guy in the perfect situation for New York, but it's going to cost you a ransom higher than it would cost you to get Eichel.
Where does he go when that contract is up? Where does that salary go from 7 million to what?
It could be 9.
And then you got to start thinking about you're gonna have Lafreniere coming off an entry level deal. You're gonna have Fox to re-sign. You're gonna have Miller to re-sign.
I agree, but if I
that's how you get yourself in cap hell, though. That's how you get yourself in cap hell, by saying I don't give a shit.
But if I trade for Eichel, that's $4 more million over the next 2 years. I have to worry about paying him.
But you're going to trade away money in the process.
Are you? We don't know. We're going to try and trade away money and make the money work and do all those things, but it might just be salary dumps. There was talks that, in the deal with Tkachuk, maybe we take Lucic's contract back as a way to kind of make it a little bit more palatable and give the Flames a little bit more cap space. But look, this is all off-season stuff that we're gonna talk about ad nauseum, I'm sure, because we're not going to talk about. But about how to fill out the roster and what they're going to do, and we're gonna, it's going to be a very interesting off-season for the Rangers, and they got cap space to work with, and it's time to fill out the roster with some guys who can play a little physical. And luckily, I mean, those guys don't cost as much as the superstars,
right?
Which is a good thing. And I mean, you're trading away young, good assets. And look, the Rangers are going to lose someone they don't want to lose either. They're going to lose a Capo Caco. They're going to lose a Keandre Miller. They're going to lose a Jones. So we don't know. We don't know who they're going to lose, but they're going to lose someone that they don't necessarily want to.
Caco is exempt. If you're saying for the expansion draft, he's
about it in a trade for one of those guys.
Yeah.
They're going to lose somebody that they don't want to lose. The expansion draft,
that's going to be a whole nother week.
We're going to lose Julian Gauthier. I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
I think we'll be okay.
So
or Brett Howden.
So just to follow up, it seems like the Devils' philosophy is the same thing as the Rangers' philosophy, but 2 years behind, right? Fitzgerald has said you draft and acquire young, talented players, let them develop, and then when the time comes, you fill in that roster with the grit, the heart and soul, the tough to play against players. And it seems like that's where the Rangers are at.
Yeah, I think they're at that cusp. I think they're at that turning point. I do agree with you.
You guys had the benefit of having a Zibanejad and a Buchnevich who were a little bit older.
And a Panarin.
The
Panarin deal was
right. Those guys
broke the camel's back and put us over the hump.
It's ready to roll time with them.
I do agree with you. But I don't. But look, your top two centers is Zibanejad and Strome. Strome has proven that he can play with Panarin, he can play without Panarin on the Rangers, and the Rangers really like him. I don't have any issues with Zibanejad and Strome as my top two centers going into next year and into foreseeable future. I don't know what all the excitement is about Jack Eichel and how he would fit on this team. You already have two centermen who fit in well with this team. Why jeopardize that? Why jeopardize the locker room? Why do all that stuff?
So
Is
there's
it
a
just because
line.
Dolan can have another superstar at center.
There's a line in the Steve Jobs movie that Aaron Sorkin wrote, and Steve Jobs says, "I don't want B players on my team. B players take up space for A players, and I want A players on my team." So if you can upgrade from Strom to Eichel,
Who's Strom? Like he's strumming a guitar?
Strome,
Like Stromboli.
right? I'm fucking starving. We got any Strombolis? Good
Fresh
God.
out.
Starving.
Stuff your face. That would be
Oh,
good.
stuff your face.
Oh,
If
If
you
you
could-
talk about stuff your face
Damn
through
it.
the day,
If you
like
could
the- not
if
the
you-
one in New Brunswick, but the one in East Brunswick on 18.
who were you talking about that one to?
Lauren and I were talking about that with somebody. I forgot who the hell we were talking to. Anyway, sorry.
So if you can upgrade from Strome to Eichel as your second line center, that's a no-brainer. As much as you like
Huge.
Ryan Strome, you'd like Jack Eichel as your second line center a little bit more.
Okay. So we all can agree that Matt Barzal is a superstar in this league, right? We can all agree upon that?
I think he's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty close to.
Well, he's no good.
Hey, can never have a consensus in this group.
Fucking Billy.
Can
He's
never
not
have
unanimous.
a unified front.
Well, look,
There's no
Ryan
Malkin.
Ryan Strome played all 56 games, had 14 goals, 35 assists, and 49 points. Okay?
Noted.
And my internet's a little slow. So Matthew Barzal threw 55 and played 55 games this year, had 17 goals and 28 assists for 45 points.
Well, then Strom's clearly the better player.
Well, no, he had equal number of points as a superstar in the league. More than he had 4 more points than Barzal did.
Goes back to my point. Barzal's just too fast. He's too fast for this league. He's just not under enough control because he's just blowing by everybody way too quickly.
I mean, and he had 1 less point than Zibanejad did. Is Ryan Strome not a first line caliber playmaking center in this league? And why? And give me a reason why.
No, I don't think anybody's saying he's not.
Nick is.
Oh, he's not. He's a
Nick
good
is.
player.
Well,
He's a good player.
Okay,
No.
but look, for a second line center,
Yeah. He's a
because
second line center,
Zibanejad,
top end.
Zibanejad is clearly your
Top
number
end.
1 center. Number 1 line. Number 1 center is
Yeah.
Mika Zibanejad. But for your number 2 centerman having 49 points on the season, okay. I'm pretty good with
Well,
Ryan Strome.
Who do you play with all season?
Panarin. And when Panarin wasn't here, he played with a list of guys, and he performed equally as well with those other guys when Panarin wasn't here.
What's a
Those-
big
9-10 games.
a big difference I was gonna say is the goals and assists. That's my thing with if I look at it,
He had
Two of
3
those
less
guys.
goals than Barzal did.
what am I looking at? Am I looking at the wrong fucking stats?
probably.
Strome had 14 goals and Barzal had 17 goals.
He's
right?
looking at Ryan Strom's stats.
Yes, you're
Well,
looking at
anyway.
Ryan Strome.
It's Ryan Strome.
Ryan Strome.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
But
man.
anyway, I was
John
my
Boley,
point
stuff
was
your
gonna-
face. How do we do this again?
yeah, my point's argument is invalid. But I was gonna say I watched the two of them play plenty. Strome's a good player. He's a solid dude. He's a top end. He's the number 2 center. He's not gonna do well in a first line position unless he's playing with a Panarin and a fucking Capco or
Well, luckily
Lafreniere,
for us, he is.
and that will work for him.
This
But he's
motherfucker
not-
just said Capco, and you let him get away with that?
whatever.
He said Capco.
Wasn't that like a toy maker back in the day?
Capcom.
A Capcom?
Capcom.
No, that was a cartoon producing company or something like whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, wait. Anyway, he doesn't have the game breaking ability that Barzal does at all. There's no way they're not even comparable in that regard. Strom's a very good, solid player.
don't
He
disagree
plays
with you.
all around.
Barzal's a
He's
superstar.
Strom's a playmaker, right? He plays a very different role, and I think that's a valuable thing to have. And I think he fits in really well with Panarin and the other superstars that they have on the team. I think he's great. I wouldn't overpay for him because I think that would lead down the road to problem that
He
big
had
problems.
$5 million contract this year.
It
5-5.
was, is it 2-year deal? I think it was a 2-year deal, right?
2-year deal. Yeah.
Yeah, because you talked about it quite a bit as like he's a perfect bridge between now and Cheadle when Cheadle gets there. What's that, Steven?
Matt, I just picked on your cousin Nick, and I just wanted to apologize. I didn't mean to pick on your cousin Nick. I'm really sorry about that. It's just he said the name wrong, and I just wanted to point that out. But maybe I was a little too aggressive, so I just wanted to say, Matt and Nick, I'm sorry to both of you for my overreaction.
Thanks, Steven. Thanks for the
Can you try that again and this time be sincere?
Look, so Strom's making 4.5 this year and for 4.5 next year. Then he's a UFA.
So what are you saying? Does he go in the trade if you get Eichel? If you trade for Eichel, does he go?
I think Heedle's to me anyway, just because of his youth, he has more trade value than Ryan Strome for some reason.
But maybe they like that
But the
salary
money
that contract is up after next year.
Yeah, money works better with Strome. But that's
it does,
the point.
but
I don't want Eichel on this team. I don't want Eichel on this team. Look, I'm a Rangers fan, and I don't want Eichel on the team. No, thank you.
JD, did you hear that? Don't go out. Oh, wait, sorry, you're not the GM anymore. Is it? Is it too soon?
For Gorton, you can, but JD, no, that's that one.
John Davidson, I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. It was hurtful and uncalled for.
I like this side of you, by the way, Steve. I do.
Thanks.
This is good stuff.
So nice. All of a sudden,
it really.
Wow.
It's such a more pleasant experience. The first 23 episodes.
It's because the season's over. I got nothing else to be all aggravated about.
Anyway,
we're gonna have the Ryan Strome debate all off season. We're gonna have all off season.
Just to follow up on and not to switch topics or anything. How about Kenny Albert getting the play-by-play job for TNT?
Yeah, and look, Ray Ferraro got hired by ESPN.
Yeah, well, that was a no-brainer. You knew that was coming.
Good.
Was his relationship with Butch Gross. And then Gretzky, I'm not down with that. I don't think it's going to be a good move.
That seems stupid, but
the Barkley role. I don't know what role that is. What was the Barkley role?
He's a shit stirrer.
Gretzky's not a shit stirrer.
Any personality.
Exactly.
Wayne Gretzky is the ambassador of the NHL. He does not belong on TV doing any shtick or anything else like that.
You know who should do that? George Paros. He's gonna be looking for work in a couple months.
You sure about that? I don't know.
Well, look,
it doesn't seem to be.
Half of what we predicted, right? So $250,000 fine for the Rangers organization for that statement. And then Butch Nevich got suspended for the cross check. I mean, okay. Wonderful.
Well deserved.
Well, yeah, it was well earned.
Well
earned.
They sent a message back to the Rangers that, you know what, we don't give a shit and you're wrong. That's the message they sent back to the Rangers.
And poor TJ Oshie, though. Poor TJ Oshie got so overshadowed, his hat trick, the day after losing his father. Got so overshadowed.
Fuck him in the Capitals.
Ow.
Hold on, Bill. Let me play this for you.
Let's see what that music.
Oh my goodness.
No.
TJ, I'm sorry that I overreacted. I lost a father too. It's very sad. And I hope you come through this and feel the strength of your family and your Capitals family and I hope you guys get swept in the first round. Even though you're playing the fucking Bruins.
And lastly, before we move on,
Bruins, I'm sorry.
I think Quinn is the coach of the Rangers when they open up the season next year, and I think he's at that make or break next year where he's got to prove that he can coach this team at the next level.
Does he get the whole season?
And he's gone. If they get out to a really, really slow start.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 20 games, they're 8-12, they're 5-15.
I can
afford another slow start.
Absolutely see that happening though. Look at this year. They got the gates real slow, and that cost them the playoffs. So I don't know.
How many years has he been the coach now?
2.
This is third year.
Really? Gee, it feels longer.
It does feel
But
longer.
all I know about the Rangers is that like it does not seem like coaches get away with missing the playoffs year after year and get brought back. Like it's never been their MO to keep a coach coming back after failing to miss the playoffs this many seasons, even though it's only 3.
Yeah, but
That's-
he's also in a rebuild, and he was brought in to develop these kids, these young guys, because of what he did at Boston University
Right.
College.
He worked. Yeah, he worked well with young players.
So nothing with all those Tortorella rumors and,
God,
and the
I
fact
really-
that your
I
hope
love
so.
Tortorella.
owner
Please.
apparently loves him.
Please.
Never again. I can deal
Please.
without Torts. I don't want Rick Tocchet. Please don't give me Rick Tocchet.
Please.
I hope it's Torts.
Dolan's the guy that tried to hire back Isaiah Thomas after he lost a multi-million-dollar lawsuit with him.
It's like the Yankees hiring back Billy Martin. You know what's gonna fucking happen.
Can you guys take Elaine Nazardine too? And Mark Recchi?
No,
Any interest?
no. That Gallant though, that's a very interesting coach that I wouldn't mind. seeing.
Did Seattle name a coach yet?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. They have a GM. That's it. So we'll have a lot to talk about with the Rangers for the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
So we all did make some preseason predictions. Now that the our teams anyway, our regular seasons are over, and boy, did we all shit the bed with the fucking Philadelphia Flyers. Fuck the Flyers.
Fuck the
Fuck
Flyers.
the Flyers.
Fuck the Flyers.
Every one of us
I'm certainly not playing the music after saying that too.
had the Flyers either winning the division or coming out of the East and representing the Mass Mutual East in the playoffs when it's down to the final 4.
Shame on us.
We all shit.
Shame on us.
Better.
They seemed like they were, they had a good mix of youth and veterans that were strong to finish last season. We thought that they had their goaltending situation in a good place. And it just looked like the way they made that charge late last year that they were ready to make that next step. And oh boy, we missed on that one. We're not the only ones. Let's face it.
I mean, it's our fault though. We based our opinion on goaltending in Philadelphia. What were we thinking?
Oh yeah, that's 100% agree that is a big mistake. That it would have been the first time in any of our lifetimes that they had their goaltending situation figured out.
Yeah.
By the way, they had the most goals against in the entire Metro.
Wow.
Yeah, not good.
It was not good. Not good at all.
They waved Shane Gostis as a bear. I mean,
Yeah.
their defensive situation was a shit show. I think Tom had it nailed. With his words of warning about the retirement of Niskanen.
Yeah.
I tried to warn all you fuckers about
Well,
that.
You were big time on that. I was gonna say the two we really nailed though was Buffalo and New Jersey. I don't know if anybody really had them outside of the bottom 2.
No,
No, we had
absolutely
them
not.
in order to. Everybody had them in order.
Yeah.
Which made sense, but
The only one to put Pittsburgh in the top 4, though.
As my buddy Brian said, thank God for Buffalo because it distracted people from how bad New Jersey was.
yeah. Well, and it got close. It got close in the last maybe
For a
half
little
dozen
bit
games.
it did.
They were it looked like Buffalo might actually pass the Devils, but yeah, they held out.
so we had the Metro be
Vigneault didn't get fired either, did he?
Hmm?
Vigneault didn't even get fired yet.
Not that I know of.
Wow. That's I thought he would have been one of the first to go after this season and the way they underachieved. I thought he would have been one of the first coaches to get shit canned. But the offseason still is early, as they say. And the other divisions, wow, I shit the bed real hard on the North and picking Vancouver. They might have been one of the worst teams in the NHL.
Likewise.
Yeah, I did not think Vancouver was ready to take that step, so I'm going to give myself credit on that one. And yeah, I think I did pick
They
Toronto
were
to win
only
that
fourth
division.
worst in the league, and they still have 6 games left to play.
Oh my God,
Go Leafs, go.
They have so many games to go. We
It's
don't have to wait for them to finish, do we? Go into the playoffs?
No, I think the playoffs start the 15th or something like that. They were saying.
Yeah, Saturday.
Oh, good Lord.
And then they don't finish their regular season, I think, until Monday.
Monday, June what?
No, but look, Nick for the West, Nick was trying to talk us into Vegas. Nick was trying to warn us about Vegas and the Golden Knights, and that Colorado wasn't going to walk away with that division. And he was 100% right, because not only did that happen, they already have the President's Trophy. They won the President's Trophy.
A reawakening for my old friend Marc-Andre Theo Fleury, who moved into third place on the all-time goalie wins list this season. Go Marc-Andre.
Has he moved out of Lemieux's house yet?
He didn't live in Lemieux's house. That was Crosby.
That was Crosby.
That was Crybaby.
What do you think, Eric? You think Mario
They
has
all
every
just
draft
lived
pick
there.
stay with him for a while?
Yeah, I just thought they all did. Thought that's the way he likes it.
No, but there's a
There's
couple
a
of
team.
other interesting notes about the North Division before we do move on. Nick, Ottawa was going to finish dead last, and that's exactly what they did. They were awful.
For the record,
Whole team.
I just took that one. I threw that one out there. I was like,
That's
poop.
fine. No problem.
You gotta throw one, right? You
And
gotta
the
throw
second
one out
thing-
there.
The second thing you were dead wrong about was Line A's 56 and 56, by the way. You said Line A 56 goals in 56 games.
Who said that? Me?
You, episode 7. Go.
Really?
re-listen. I did this afternoon.
Did I say that?
You said that. And then nobody knew I was going to say that. Then Nick sent that tweet prior to the game, and I was like, oh, this is great. He doesn't even want to talk about hockey right now. He can't even look at a game. He's so disgusted with the sport and Tortorella that he can't even watch a fucking hockey game right now. Oh, poor Patrick Laine. What did you do to him?
Oh yeah, poor Patrick Laine, superstar hockey player that's gonna cry his way off of 2 teams now. Boo hoo.
Yikes. Jeez, Bill. My God.
Yeah, I
What
can't- I
happened to
don't-
being like
I
a
don't
stand-up
remember.
guy for your team? Eichel's bitching about Buffalo. Look at the money these guys are getting and how much and how free they feel to bitch about the teams that they're playing for.
Yeah,
Get off my lawn!
In Eichel's defense, he
I
never
guess I
asked-
am the old man now. Well, that's fine by me.
Eichel never asked for a trade, though.
He's been
This-
complaining about the whole he wants to have the back surgery thing though.
Yeah, that's a little different. That's like him being like, I want to get the surgery done, and the team's like, no, we don't want you to do the surgery. We want you to play. That's
We
kind of
want
fucked up.
we want your next team to have to pay for the surgery. That's what it is.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, listen, that's a fucked up situation. You
The
can't.
second
doing
they
that
go
shit.
in there and potentially find something way worse, his value goes right down the drain.
Well, that's another reason why I don't want Eichel on the Rangers, because he's already damaged goods with his herniated discs in his neck. No thanks. I'm good.
I'm with you.
And then the Central, boy, Steve, you picked a good one there, huh? Dallas.
Hey, nobody would have seen them getting the bug that quick.
No.
That's-
We absolutely talked about the Dallas Stars
Did we?
getting COVID before we made these predictions, and you were all in on Dallas.
But
hey,
I'd already written the predictions down. They were already in the sealed envelope.
Did anybody pick Florida?
no, I picked Carolina.
Nick, the mothers of the players on the Panthers didn't pick them. to pick
However,
first.
after we made our predictions in episode 7, you can all go back and listen. It's all up there. We asked for who's your surprise team. You guys are fucking. Billy's surprise team was the New York Rangers. Fucking idiot. Nick's, yours was the Ottawa
Nailed it.
Senators. Ugh.
Nailed it.
Steve said the New Jersey Devils. By game 45, they will still be competing, is what you said. And I said
They were.
And I said my surprise team was the Florida Panthers. And Billy's, oh, you're going to pick the Florida Panthers. Everybody every year pick the Florida Panthers. That's exactly
They
what
do. They do. Hey, I mean, you're gonna guess the same fucking team every year, then it's gonna be right when. I'm not saying that you did. I'm not saying that you did, but I'm saying that I've been hearing people try to shove the Panthers up my fucking ass for a decade now. And yeah, okay, finally they finished in second place or whatever. Oh, big whoop.
Panthers pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, how
Kind
do
of
you
big
use,
ass.
I mean, is it gaping? I mean, can we really get a Panther up there?
Do you use some sort of funnel for that or just hide treats?
To be
in there?
fair,
To be fair, how?
To be fair,
They're
No.
really just trying to throw a rat up my ass because that's the Panthers.
They win all these games. All they get is fucking Tampa Bay in the first round.
A
yeah,
spiraling,
shit.
reeling Tampa Bay,
I
who is
saw
not
that.
competitive right
they
now.
are spiraling. That's for
And
sure.
they're supposed to
Oh,
get saved by
last night.
Stamkos and Kucherov magically showing up. And I don't know. I mean, I know they're good players. I don't know. The way they're playing defense right now, I don't know.
That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be
Could be
very
a quick
interesting
out for
series.
Tampa.
I mean, Florida's won 6 straight.
I don't know about a quick out, but I don't. They're gonna have their hands full with the Panthers. I agree. They're gonna have their hands full.
Well, I think quick out is in first round.
First round, yeah.
Go Leafs, go.
You with your Maple Leafs, jeez. Oh, all day
That
with
was
this guy with the
was
Maple
definitely
Leafs.
consensus in the in the North was the Maple Leafs. Everyone thought they were going to run away with it, and did they run away with it?
Yeah, it was never really in doubt.
Essentially, it never was. It never was a contest. I mean, Edmonton. They both still have friggin'. How do they still have games left?
Because of
They have 2 more games.
Vancouver.
They have to play Vancouver twice. Oh my god.
And a lot of games, other games got rescheduled because of it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. Ugh. All right. Now we're going to turn to one of our new and favorite segments, Trivia Time with Bill.
Oh, I got to write a jingle for this, don't I?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look. This,
Here you go.
it's-
Let me write that jingle right now. It's trivia time with Bill.
I like it.
That's really
That's the
good.
enthusiasm that I'm looking for.
That
Okay,
is really
without
good.
further ado, I have a very relevant question tonight.
Jesus Christ.
Which team's logo consists of a winged letter P with an orange circle in the middle? Now, if you don't know it off the top of your head, I can give you a hint.
Please give us a hint.
Okay, I'll give you a little hint here. Fuck the. Okay, now I'll take some answers.
Bruins.
That's
Dummy,
that's
it's a
B,
fucking
not a P.
P. It's a P as in
Well,
Paul.
they're minor league teams in Providence.
It's
I thought
you
that
It's
was
gotta
also
think.
not winged.
You gotta think of a team that has wings,
Oh, the Red Wings.
is from a city that starts with P, and probably has a team name that starts with P. It's the Pittsburgh Penguins.
It's the Phantoms?
It's-
Phantoms.
Everybody's wrong so far.
Pittsburgh
Detroit
starts
has
with a P.
winged wheel.
Penguins have a wings, don't they?
Well, the Panthers, right? They have like
Pen-
wings on the Panthers, right?
There's no wings on Panthers. Penguins do have wings, but
Is it
they don't have
is it Jeff Reese?
and we're looking for the name of a team.
The
not
Nashville
so
Predators.
much
The
the
Predators.
record-holding goaltender who had the most points in the game.
The Predators.
Points also starts with P. Predators is not the correct answer.
Fuck. Who the hell could it be?
I don't know. I'm at a loss.
Oh, Wings. Winnipeg. The Jets.
Detroit.
Wings
Red
and Winnipeg
Wings.
only start with the same 3 letters. That doesn't even make sense.
Well, they had wings.
Detroit's an upside down P.
We already went over Detroit, and their wing is to a wheel, not a
I
letter.
agree with you. I think
P.
it is an upside down P. Ugh, you
What
know,
website are you on right now? Upside down
fuck
P's.
the Flyers. You know, fuck the Flyers.
Fuck the Flyers.
Is this the best question we could get out of that book?
Wait, how many
Yes.
cards are actually in this book? It's like
50.
1,000 cards, and this is the one that you pulled out. I mean, second straight week.
I texted you guys one of them from before that was like, where is the Hockey Hall of Fame located? I mean, these are the kind of questions that we're getting out of this thing. It's not very good.
What's up, Steven?
Yes, Steve.
And that was trivia with Bill. Ugh.
And now we're going to move on to something a little bit more fun, or funner, as I like to say.
That could be literally anything.
It's Impressions with Nick.
Yay!
Don't take chances with a new impression. Only $9.95 to keep it in condition at Loretta, at Loretta, at Loretta. Impressions only $9.95 at Loretta Impressions.
Now, this is something that everybody loves.
Oh, all right. Good times.
You've played a long time in the NHL, playing alongside teammates such as Brian Trottier and Matthew Tkachuk. Who has been your favorite teammate you've played with?
Probably Sean Avery. Yeah, he was dating pretty girls all the time. Sometimes bring one for me. Nice guy, always protect the best players on the team, make life hard for Brodeur. Funny guy.
So for 40 straight years, one of your former teammates has played in the Stanley Cup Finals, with 39 of the 40 also winning the Cup. Were you aware of this record? What did you make of it?
Not aware, but it's like pretty good, I guess. Pretty good at teaching hockey. Lots of players get better playing with me on the wing. Let me see the list you have there. Okay, I see. Scott Gomez, Chris Drury, Pavel Kabina. I teach all these guys lots of things. They get much better playing with me. I show them all the things.
Yeah, but some of those guys that you just mentioned won cups before they played with you.
Look, I teach them how to play blackjack, run from bookies, go get beautiful women, grow thick, strong hair, drive fast car, all things you need in life.
How have you kept in shape all of these years?
Oh, good question. I swear by old world techniques. No fancy gym machines. All you need is a little bit of space. 1,000 squats per day. It take me a little bit each morning to get through. But legs get strong like bull. Keep me in good shape. Keep up with young guys.
Lastly, everybody wants to know, who is or was the best player you have played with in your career?
Sure. Jaromir Jagr, for sure. Okay. Thanks for coming, guys. Come visit Cloudmo sometime. We go for drinks. Have a good time. All right. Bye-bye.
Did you really wanted to say Matthew Tkachuk, or do you want to say Keith Tkachuk?
It was Matty Tkachuk.
Matthew.
Matthew Tkachuk.
So my first guess was going to be Luigi from Super Mario Brothers. But I don't think that's it.
I don't think I could do
feeling-
the accent right, but
I have a feeling that that's not it.
It was
This one, I'll tell you what, this is a better question than Trivia Bill would ever come up with. This is a better scenario than you would ever come up
I'm
with
not
in those
making
cards.
up the questions. Okay.
No,
I
you're
know,
just
I know,
picking
I
questions
know.
to read, which is worse.
The relevant ones.
Oh, I got a relevant one for you next week. I already have it picked out. My guess is Mick Jagger.
Jagger? I have no idea.
McGillney?
No, I don't know if it was Alex.
McGillney?
Well, no, he played with on the Sabre, played with Drury.
Play with Gomez.
Oh,
Kasperitis?
He played with Kasparaitis,
Bure?
not Pure.
Wait, is it? No, then it's Jagr. Is it Jagr?
Yeah, he threw us off by mentioning that it was himself that was the best player he played with.
Steve fucking wins. I was
But you
trying
said
to throw you off
Jagr.
that. Because you know what? He actually has had a interview where he said, and someone asked him that, he's like, and he called himself, he's like, Jaromir Jagr.
Really?
Called his own number. Yeah.
I mean, that's
When
39 out of 40 of the
That's
last
crazy,
cups
right?
is crazy.
So 40 of the 40 last cups, he's had somebody who's played with Jagr has been on one of the teams. And of those 40 times, 39 of them have been the cup winner.
That's incredible.
insane. That doesn't
That's
make
incredible.
sense.
I mean, it helps when you play for, half the NHL,
Yeah. I was gonna say.
but
He
still.
played a lot. He played a lot of teams. He played a lot of teams. 11 teams, you said? I think I was
Yeah.
reading. Yeah. Oh, that's unbelievable. But he was an interesting guy to like watch interviews on. He's a kind of interesting character. But yeah, I thought that was what made me laugh the most was when someone asked him, who's the best player you ever play with? And he's like, Jaromir Jagr, like deadpan. I was like, damn. Savage.
I remember the 1,000 squats a day because I'm pretty sure JD covered that a few times.
Yeah, so like obviously like how I was looking at interesting. It was interesting because he played Trottier when Trottier was last year his career. I think his last year
Oh, okay.
when Jagr was a rookie. Which I was looking, I was like, who could he have played with like early that would fuck you guys up? And so Trottier, I was like, oh, that's a good one. But I was like, oh, he only played with 2 teams really, so it's kind of hard to not mess that one up. But then he also played with Kachuk in Matthew Kachuk in Calgary, his last
I
time he
forgot
played.
he was even in Calgary.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I was like, oh, that's a good because like how would you know he played with Matthew Kachuk? Like, but the
Yeah.
range of years between those guys is huge. You know,
Yeah.
Trottier played in like early 80s.
Early, yeah.
Early 70s he played. So I mean, compared to Kachuk, who's, he didn't start playing in the 20s, but he started playing obviously in
Yeah,
the teens. So what a crazy span that is.
Nice job. That was a good one.
That was awesome. Well, let's,
I hope that this what it sounded like doesn't sound completely ridiculous. But
Oh no,
I mean,
you're gonna love it when you hear it back. You're gonna love it, I think.
No, it was absolutely
All right.
ridiculous.
That's great. Perfect.
Let's start.
So awesome that you get such great feedback from your fellow podcasters.
Let's start the 4-point night with the Jagr's first team. You were first in the division, so go ahead and start the 4-point night, Bill.
Okay, the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-point night. So first one, well, as first place, it's been a little while since the Penguins finished in first place. They usually make a charge. They usually get pretty close, and then they drop off. And this season there was not the drop off. They went into their last 4 games having the edge over the Capitals, but they had 2 games against Philly, and then the 2 against Buffalo. And I think even before last episode, they had lost that first initial game in Philadelphia in kind of a disastrous fashion. And with Washington having their games in hand, it didn't seem like the division was in the cards, but when they beat Philly and went on to play against Buffalo, Washington went to play against Philly in 2 straight games, and Philly put a hurt on a very shorthanded Capitals team in that first night, and it kind of swung in the Penguins' favor. So the Penguins actually finished up their season, had a 4-point lead on the Capitals, but the Capitals, if they had won in regulation in their final 2 games, they would have won first place. But because the Flyers managed to push them to overtime in that second game that they played against each other, Washington actually ended up beating them in overtime. Washington was down 1-0, scored late with an empty net to tie it. But it took them until overtime to actually win it. So it was a really unique situation where the Penguins got help from the Flyers against the Capitals, but in the game that the Flyers ended up losing. So it was like the best of both worlds. So fuck the Flyers, they didn't win the game, but they did put the Penguins in first place somehow. So thank you, Flyers, for that as you end your season. Then the next thing up for the Penguins, when they did play Buffalo, Jeff Carter was just steamrolling the Sabres in those games last weekend. So they played 2 very different games against the Sabres to close out their season. They struggled defensively and in goal, but ended up winning an 8-4 game. In that first game against Buffalo, Jeff Carter had 4 of those goals. First 4-goal game of his career at age 36. And he was just, the Sabres just had no answer for him. They couldn't handle him at all. And then in the second game that they played, 1-0 Penguins win. Carter had the only goal in that one. So he had 5 goals total against the Sabres to close out the season with those 2 wins to help them clinch the division. So got to say, good trade to pick him up at the deadline. A lot of times you get guys that might have even a little more star power, but they just don't quite fit in. They got Zucker last year, didn't really quite fit in. It really took him all season, Zucker, to this season to really get kind of into a productive swing of things with the team. But Carter just stepped in right away. Just the big body, he's really helps out defensively. It really has good chemistry with Gaudreau and McCann making up that third line, and they're a threat to score as well.
There are definitely players who are Eastern Conference players, and there are players who are Western Conference players. And Jeff Carter is definitely an Eastern Conference player. He's a physical guy, not really with the skill like a lot of players out west.
He did pretty well out west too.
Don't get you wrong.
Right, but he's more of an Eastern Conference type player where it's more on the physical side, and that's how he played out there, and that's why he had success.
Yeah. He's yeah.
Yeah.
So with that acquisition, I mean, the Penguins got Malkin back, and Malkin's not quite.
Micro Machine
Something-
Bill has made an appearance. Woo! We got excited.
I thought you guys were like freaking out because I just saw like on my screen that the Mets hit a home run.
Yeah, like I would freak out.
I'm like, why is Tom
Okay.
clapping for that?
Micro Machine Bill is way more exciting than a Mets game ever will be.
Oh, I agree. Okay. So, what was I saying? I lost track.
You were going on to the next point after Jeff Gorton.
Awesome to see, with the Penguins, going into the playoffs, that third line emerging is just huge. Because Malkin just came back, and I don't know that Malkin really got his game going quite yet, but he hasn't been a disaster either. So Malkin with Kapanen on that second line is looking like, with Carter and McCann and Gaudreau on that third line, the Penguins have a lot of balance there. They really had balance even when Malkin was out of the lineup with scoring. They ended the season averaging third in the league with goals per game average, behind I think Colorado and maybe Toronto or one of those guys. So they've got the scoring. They've got their defense in pretty good order. They've finished the season 15th in goals against, which is obviously average in a 31 team league or whatever. But considering where they started the season, there was a lot of improvement there. Considering that their penalty kill was not very good ever, that's also not so bad when you think about finishing 15th. I think the big concern for them going into the playoffs, they've got the scoring going. They've got the defense playing pretty well in most days, but that penalty kill is an issue, and don't know when Tanev is planning to return to the lineup. But getting Tanev back into the lineup along with Gaudreau with the regular penalty kill guys makes them pretty formidable. And if they've got Bluger and Tanev and Gaudreau all in the lineup at the same time, and Rust, it makes for a much more effective penalty kill. That's maybe not as bad as it looks sometimes. But don't know when Matheson's coming back. Don't know when Tanev is coming back. They would be really useful in a long playoff run. But then again, playoffs are coming, injuries are going to happen. There's going to be guys out. That's just something they're going to have to deal with. So looking forward to a first round matchup with the Islanders. They were 6-2 against the Islanders for the season. It does seem like the Islanders were not going in exactly the right direction as the season ended. So it has to give you confidence as you go in and play against that Islander team. But I don't know, Nick, what do you think? What do you think on how the Islanders finished their season?
Oh, it's not a great way to end the season, to be honest. We finished 1-1-1 this past week, but to be honest, one of those wins was against the Devils. One of those losses was against the Devils. Not
How do you
beating
live
any
with yourself?
Yeah. And then the last game, not really a great game against the Boston, where we needed to win in regulation to have any chance to even leapfrog them in the standings. Obviously that didn't happen. We would have to beat them. They'd have to lose tonight in regulation to Washington. So that didn't happen, obviously. But it did obviously come up with we pulled the goalie in a tie game, 2-2, trying to get that, regulation win. But it's kind of like the whole thing, right? At the end of the season, you're like, well, why do we even fucking need to do that shit? We were in top of the Metro for quite some time, most of the season, to be honest, right? And we were neck and neck with Washington, and really the last few weeks we've just fell off the pace, and Pittsburgh's been just red hot, passed by everybody, and we lost. We even got passed up by the Bruins. So not a great way to end the season. You're outshot by 20 goals in the last 20 shots in the last game against the Bruins. The only positive really I have really is that seeing guys like Nelson, Bavillier, Barzal, Wallstrom all get on the score sheet the last few nights Bavili has been red hot scoring goals the last 2 weeks. That's been good. We need that secondary scoring and primary scoring, to be honest, for the playoffs against the Penguins, which, by the way, is our first round matchup. We were 2-4-2 against the Penguins, so 2-6 officially, but 2-4-2, meaning we went to overtime twice in the 1-2 games, so pretty even games in the series. But even though they were even going into the game, at least half the games were either we won or went to overtime. I didn't feel like we were really, in that halfway point with that team. I felt like the whole time, every time we played the Penguins, they had our number. They're a tough team to play. I think they match up real well against the Isles. So I think it's going to be a really tough matchup. They, I think, had the best record against the Isles in the head-to-head this year. The Caps were the other team that were really giving it to the Isles, if I remember correctly. Let me take a quick peek because I just had it up and I was then searching up the Florida Panthers because fun times. Anywho, yeah, so we had only losing records against the Washington Capitals and the Penguins this year in the division. And against the Penguins, we had given up we gave the most goals against the Penguins in the division, and the second least scored against in the division. Washington was the other one in the first and second in those other spots. So we didn't score a lot of goals against them. We let up more goals against both teams, and those are the teams that give us the most trouble. We're gonna have to get through both of them to make it anywhere in the playoffs. Third and fourth lines have to step up. If they don't, we're up shit's creek, to be honest. The fourth line especially, they've been healing up a little bit. And I think what's a good thing is going to happen for us is that we're going to get a few days off. I think everybody gets a few days off, but it's really going to help the Isles. I think Varley had a little bit of a tweak in the game. They took him out precautionary. They said he would have played in his playoffs. Just one of those things that came up in between periods, and they were like, "You're going to sit the rest of the game." And Martin sat out a game just to basically get some, get some ice on his vagina, just let himself, heal up a little bit.
I agree with his vagina. Look, if Varlamov's starting the playoffs,
100%. He's the guy. He's the number one guy this year.
Does he have a quick hook? Like if he loses the first two games, you seeing Aaron in game 3?
I think if he loses the first two games, and there's a problem, there's a reason why he lost. I think they would. I think if he's the reason, but if it's tight, I don't see that happening. I think Trotz is going to basically keep, Sorokin. Maybe he gets a game in if that happens. Otherwise, I don't think that happens. I think they're going to keep, Varlamov playing. It's like the playoffs. They're going to, how it goes. This is the time that you play your best guys, and Varlamov is in a Vezina, finalist season. He could very well win the Vezina, and he's a guy that can steal games unless he starts to really crap out. I don't think they change the goalie. They could. Sorokin's good, but he's a rookie in the playoff situation, so that will be interesting if they decide to do that. There's no home ice advantage for the Isles, which is really rough for them since that's really they do real well. And to make that doubly worse, their capacity is going to be just under 7,000 for the playoffs in the Coliseum, is announced. They're going to have like a weird kind of setup where they have like 50% of the tickets sold to vaccinated people, other 50% non-vaccinated people. And the sections where it's non-vaccinated, they have to be 6 feet apart. The vaccinated section is going to be 3 feet apart. So whatever, but it's going to be like pretty good amount of people the first time in the stadium all year, and they're not going to have home ice. So in order for them to really turn this around, they got to win one of the first two games in the series in order to really have a real chance. I feel like they got to get a win early. If they don't, I don't know how they're going to come back. Even with the crowd, it's going to be tough. And lastly, I just wanted to say the Bridgeport Islanders. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but
the sound anymore, right?
We changed. They decided it was a great idea to change from the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, which had one of the coolest logos in my opinion in DHL, and an interesting team name, and something that kind of resonated with where they play, to a extremely boring and nonsensical team name in the Bridgeport Islanders, where they're not on an island and they have a logo now that is just a B. So congratulations, Islanders. You've once again killed it with your marketing skills. I don't know who they're fucking signing up to make these jerseys and logos, but they got to fire the hell out of them.
Which is funny because the Devils went from being the Albany Devils and then the Binghamton Devils and then the wherever Devils. And now that they're moving back to Utica, they're keeping the name of the Utica team the same as it was. So they're moving away from that linear team naming philosophy. And now it looks like that's the way the Islanders are going.
I don't know. Bizarre to me. I don't really understand it. But hey, I guess it means that maybe they're going to move the team to somewhere closer at some point, potentially. But usually you would do that after you've done the move as opposed to changing the name beforehand. So it universally amongst Islanders fans is not even like, nobody likes it. So I don't really understand it. But What are you going to do? Tom, do the Rangers have any kind of things like that with their AHL team? Anything they're doing there? No? How about how are the Rangers in their last week of the...
Oh, God. Fucking awful. Worst hockey to watch imaginable. No, and look, they finished up against Washington. You know, what shit show that was, and you know the fights that went on in the beginning of the game. You know, like they tried to make it look like the Rangers Devils back in the day, but it just fucking sucked. It was just, I mean, you had fucking Carl Hagelin and Colin Blackwell fighting. It just wasn't entertaining. It wasn't as entertaining as like fucking, you know, Christoph Oliwa fighting fucking, who am I thinking of? The fucking NHL announcer, Mike Rupp. Those were really good fights, man. And Cam Jansen versus Brendan Prust. I mean, those were heavy hitters, man. Those were the guys you want to see fight.
But Lars Eller and Ryan Strome, right?
Well, yeah, later on, but that opening face-off fight, I mean, Jesus Christ, Tom Wilson wasn't even on the ice. But look, they took the high hard one the last week of the season. They pulled out a win in the last game of the season against Boston, which really hurt Boston, which I was happy to see. Not a lot of guys were hurt, so they got a chance to look at some of the kids and Justin Richards and Brodzinski and Gettinger. I like this Richards kid a lot. He's got a lot of it. I don't know what it is yet, but he was smiling a lot. He was fucking just happy to be there, man, hitting people, going out and just playing hockey. And I really, really like to see it. For all the shit that we talked of his abysmal start, Lafreniere had a pretty decent finish to his season. He finished with a total at 12 goals and 9 assists for 21 points. After the horrific start, and like a lot of it could be the reasons. But he looked a lot better. He was doing a lot of the things I expected him to do in the beginning of the year at the end of the season. Especially, he's got a really good backhand, man. He's got a really good backhand. I always say that Sidney Crosby has the best backhand that I've ever seen in my life.
Thanks, Pierre McGuire.
Lafreniere's is not bad at all. I'm not saying it's on par by any stretch of the imagination, but it is pretty fucking decent. Pavel Buchnevich had himself a year, man. He fourth on the team in scoring with 48 points. That's pretty good to lead, just about a lot of the teams in the league. And he was fourth on the team in scoring with 20 goals and 28 assists. He's in contract year, restricted free agent. It'd be interesting to see what happens to Buchnevich in the offseason. Is he around? Do they give him a bridge deal or a deal that eats away a couple years of free agency and move forward with him? Or is Buchnevich a guy that they don't want to trade, that they trade for size, for depth? And you're going to have a very, very interesting off season. So and it's only 3 points, but whatever.
He's gonna push for that no movement or no trade clause in there, probably, right? So at least he's got a little bit of say in where he goes, maybe a limited.
But he's on the edge, man. He's 26 years old. He came off of a really good season. But I don't know, man. I don't know if Buchnevich fits what we want to do moving forward. Plus, we already have his replacement in
in Kravtsov, who is to me is Buchnevich, but just 4 or 5 years younger. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
still want to be careful about the expectations you put on Kravtsov. Right? We saw Gusev play really well last season and then shit the bed this year.
Yeah, but
So it's not unheard of.
no, I agree. But from the shit show that happened at the beginning of last year with him not starting in New York and starting in Hartford, then bitching and wanting to go back to the KHL and then allowing him to play in the KHL this year, he was a different player than what we saw last year, and even bitching and moaning about being in Hartford. So I'm excited about Kravtsov in the next couple of years. He's going to be here. I don't know if Butch is. I don't know if Butch is going to be here. I don't know, but we'll see. But you're right. He could turn into another Gusev and then disappear.
Right.
And what the fuck are
speaking of Gusev, obviously he is the number one on my list in terms of disappointments this year. Also, Andreas Johansson, who was brought over from Toronto, 49 games, 11 points, and he got top 6 minutes basically the whole year. You can't have that kind of production from a player on your top 6. They were 1-2 this past week, beat the Islanders, lost to the Islanders, and then wrapped up the season with a loss to Philadelphia. Blackwood, Smith, and Subban sat out the last 2 games. It was nice to see Siegenthaler get back in the lineup, at least play a game. He's really expecting to bulk up this offseason and come back and really show the team that he could be at least a top 4 defenseman on the team. So let's hope that happens. I did want to just go through real quickly my MVP of the season. Obviously, Jack Hughes, huge step from his 21-point rookie campaign to this year. He put on the weight and just really showed flashes of being the playmaker that he was hyped to be when he was taken first overall. Also, a special shout out to Blackwood, who had a lot to deal with in terms of getting the COVID and having a very terrible defense in front of him. I thought he played really well. I'm really looking forward to having him as the number 1 goalie. Surprise of the year goes to Sharangovich, who continued his hot play over at the KHL. He's up there, and like I said last week, he's up there in rookie scoring. Might even get consideration for the Calder, maybe a couple third-place votes. I think that would be a huge win for him if he even got some consideration. Overall, I'm happy with the direction the team is going. I saw some struggles, and at this point, were they COVID struggles? Were they recovery from COVID struggles? Were they learning the system struggles? Or were they bad system struggles? That I don't know. I guess we're going to figure that out, hopefully soon enough, where if we've got to make a coaching change from Ruff, there's somebody out there that's worth, picking up.
Maybe David Quinn.
Thinking, actually, I think there was a coach that coached in Columbus that just got fired that maybe they could pick up.
There is no way.
No.
There is.
He is the wrong coach for this group.
You'd be better off hiring Jack Capuano before you hired fucking.
I think they'd be better off having Jack Eichel coach the team.
You want Fred Flintstone for the coaching team?
That was hilarious.
So I am actually really excited with the direction the team is going. Like I said, I think it's 1 more year. They get Holtz for a full season next year. They get Dawson Mercer coming in. Maybe we could see what those guys could do. Maybe they earn a spot in the lineup. And then the season after that, the 22-23 season, is when I think they would make the move that I expect the Rangers are going to make this offseason.
So Nick, you mentioned that Varlamov consideration for the Vezina. I can see it. His save percentage and his goals against average definitely get him there, but his it's the wins that don't get him there. You look at Philip Grubauer and you look at even Tristan Jarry, man. Vasilevsky, those guys winning 31, 25 games certainly get a leg up on Varlamov just a little bit, but his save percentage, his goals against average, second to none in the league,
and 7 shutouts.
Yeah, but 5 of them came against the Rangers. What's that saying?
Oh, I did just want to go back. I did just want to go back real quick. Preseason predictions. I had the Devils going 2-6 against Boston, and they finished 5-1-2. So congrats to the Devils on walloping the Boston Bruins.
I hope the Penguins could steal some of that mojo if they end up facing them in subsequent rounds of the playoffs. But worry about the Islanders first.
Yeah.
But that mojo. That mojo.
'Cause Penguins struggle with the Bruins for sure.
Weirdly, because they seem to Bruins got spanked by the Isles this year. And then Devils, obviously. How the Rangers do against Bruins?
Who fucking knows? They
Probably
suck.
shit.
I think they had 2 wins against the Bruins, and one of them was
Oh.
they fucking beat the shit out of them. That was the night that the Islanders waxed them the night before, and then they came to the Garden, and the Rangers fucking just destroyed them.
Yeah.
But look, I think the playoffs are going to be a lot of fun. Look, there's a
Go
lot
Leafs, go. Go Leafs, go.
Yeah,
Go
Tom,
Leafs,
who's
go.
your team?
to play out, and I'm just going to say, could be Leafs Bruins in the Stanley Cup final. I mean that would be a ratings getter. That would be an absolute ratings getter.
Tom, are you pulling for the Panthers since you were high on their horse?
No, baby.
He's a
Best
Hurricanes
team in
guy.
the East. I said it
Oh,
before
Carolina.
the season started.
Carolina,
Oh,
you're
Carolina.
right. Yep.
Team in the East, Carolina Hurricanes. I was spot on. That was the only them and Florida. They were the only 2 things that I called right all year. What were you gonna say, Bill? You look like you have something to say. You're standing
Sorry,
there.
I'll try to look something. I'll try
You're
to look
standing there with
different.
your Star Wars shirt on, trying to
Bill
you mocking me with that
was gonna say
And your Grogu glass. Not Baby Yoda, Billy. It's Grogu. I'm not even talking Star Wars with you.
Billy was gonna say, "May the 4th be with you."
No, dude, it's fucking May 11th. How can May the 4th be with you? That was last week.
Yeah, Micro Machine Bill is still back. Like that's how bad his internet is.
Oh my god.
We're still in here. We're still hearing Bill from last week.
Yeah, but I only had one of those happen today.
Just the one.
Was it
Yeah.
just one?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, I should send Dolan a bonus, help him pay off that $250K.
Apply for the GM position.
Should we give playoff predictions?
Do you think
Are we doing
those?
that
Do you
today?
think those
Hey.
resumes get submitted in crayon to Dolan so he could read them better?
I'm still picking Colorado to win the cup, so I mean that hasn't changed.
Well, let's see.
But what has changed is they will not be playing the Flyers in the final. Fuck the Flyers.
Fuck the
Fuck
Flyers.
the Flyers.
Flies. Do we know a start date yet? Or the
Saturday.
schedule wasn't put?
They said the 15th.
They said the
15th.
15th. Yeah.
I would
Go
imagine,
Leafs, go baby. Go Leafs, go.
I would imagine that does not include the Canadian division.
Austin Matthews, greatest player in the NHL. Fuck Connor McDavid.
All right. Again, did you fall down and hit your head?
Fuck Connor McDavid. What's he got
100
besides speed?
102 points in 54 games?
100. Now look at how many goals the team has scored overall.
Holy shit balls.
He is registered a goal or an assist, I think, in like 58% of the team's goals.
Billy, is that math correct?
Well,
Yeah.
nobody ever told me what the total was for Edmonton scoring goals, so I wouldn't really know
178.
that.
178 goals for.
For 178?
He scored 33 goals. And
No, goals and assists, points total.
Yeah, points. So it was 102 points and
Yeah.
178 total?
Yep.
57.3%. You were really exaggerating, Steve. When you said 58, that was
Yeah, you don't
Sorry.
round up, round down.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Unless it was
Thought we were
57.5,
rounding up
that's
these
when you
days.
round up. Everybody-
Sorry.
Everybody
What do you
knows.
think?
Where's
do
the
you think
music?
on,
I want an apology with the music.
Oh, jeez. What do you think about your bet here, Tom? Fox or Hedman?
It's Hedman.
You think it's gonna be Hedman?
It has to be.
To
Both
all
teams
you
dropped off.
numbers people out there, I'd just like to apologize for my extreme exaggeration. 57.3 is not 58%. It's not even close. I don't know what I was thinking, and I just want to say I'm sorry to all the mathematicians out there that are listening.
Yes.
I'll never make a mistake like that again. I'm sorry.
Apology accepted.
I mean, that to me is a starter for the show. People won't understand it. It's
No.
fantastic. Anybody going? Everybody's still picking Colorado or Tampa to win the cup.
I'm definitely moving away from Tampa. I was high on Tampa, but I'm moving away
You
from
never
Tampa.
picked Tampa to
I
win
had-
the cup. You picked Colorado.
Pretty sure I had Tampa.
But I
Didn't
had
have
them in the
Tampa?
finals, didn't I?
Billy and Nick had Tampa, and Steve
Yeah.
and I had Colorado.
Wait, you had Colorado, Tom? I thought you had Carolina. You put
No,
Colorado in?
think they were going to be the best regular season. They were going to be the best team in the East.
Oh.
And I had Colorado over Philly. Fuck do I know?
Fuck the
And who did I
Flyers.
have as the other team in the finals? Did I have another team?
You may have said it, but I didn't write it down. Your final four were Philly, Colorado, Toronto, and Dallas.
Okay.
Dallas. Yeah, exactly. Dallas. Jesus. I mean, Jesus, like someone picking Vancouver in their final four.
I suck.
Can we fucking mute that prick?
No, you can't. You know
Why?
why?
Because I'm the host. That's why. I suck.
Mute this. I don't know if I could be nice to this guy much longer.
We're all co-hosts, I thought. Man, look, did you see
Yeah,
pull
really.
that power play right there? Oh, who's the host? Jeez.
I say with me as always.
Might as well say joining me as always.
You know what? I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to start playing the fucking. I'm my ego now that I have a fan.
Okay, here you go. This is how it started with Howard Stern.
Matt,
This
you're
is
the
how it
greatest.
started.
Thanks for listening, buddy. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to our whatever this is.
You mean my podcast, you Ranger.
Thank you for listening to my podcast with you.
No, you can't say.
I'm sorry, they are just ridiculous to deal with.
This is as this evolves, it's just going to become a conversation between you and Matt. You're just going to call him up, and it's going to be you and him direct.
Yeah. Is he
Yeah.
a Loretta?
He's a Broly. He's not a Loretta. He's my
Stromboli?
my
What are
Matt
we talking about
Broly,
again?
you are the god. You are the god of listeners. Great job, buddy.
Yeah, he's my mom's sister's kid.
All right.
She took it.
That's going to end my podcast for tonight. I want to thank everybody for listening. Don't forget to go to my Twitter handle at friends_rivals. When you're on the shitter, don't forget to check the Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Friends and Rivals podcast. Click, comment, and share. Subscribe to my podcast wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify. Leave us a rating. Give us a review. It really will help the show out a lot.
Before Billy says his witty comment, do you guys know which clothing item runs out of breath?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Pants. Pants.
Am I supposed to follow that with something?
Everybody, shut up. Stop talking about my podcast. Billy, play us out.
Oh, my friends and rivals. Flyers fuck, flyers fuck, flyers fuck off.